Welcome, everybody, to Astrology Unplugged. I didn't know this was going to happen. I have not been crying at all, but it just hit me for a minute there. Welcome to tonight. We're going to have a really special evening. I mean, there's really not everybody that's here with us tonight. And those of you who watch this later on YouTube know how special he was, um, not just to us, to his family, to his friends, but just on a wider scale. And I'm honored, truly, I'm honored that I get to sit here. Um, so tonight, what we're going to do, we're going to have a fireside chat. We're going to talk about what this beautiful man meant to us and his work. Um, we already started with some stories. I'm sure there's many more. I have two people walked in or came into the room, and already it's just so much history and so much love. So we're going to do that. I'm going to kick us off with a little bit of housekeeping. And then Rick Kempe is going to guide us through a meditation, and then we'll get the evening started. First, I'd like to say, really important. Everybody has been so overwhelmingly kind and loving, and which I would expect nothing less because this group is that way, and we know that. But more importantly, I want to mention Liza, who is doing as well as she can. And you've been all just so lovely. It's not an easy time, but I think we all know that it's better that a spirit and a body is not suffering and is free. And I think that's why I have not, I've been upset for the last few weeks. And then I came to a point where I was so happy for him that he doesn't have to be in this body with these limitations and this pain, the way the way that humans do. Um, he was bigger than life, and now he is forever bigger than life. And that gives me a lot of comfort for him. It doesn't mean that we don't miss him, and it doesn't mean that we certainly are going to feel that loss. Uh, but it really, it's important to let you know that, Liza's doing well, and she thanks you all from her. You have no idea. She told me like 50 times, please let them know. Please let them know how much I thank them and how much this means to me. She's good. She's a bundle of strength and love. But it doesn't hurt to keep her in your prayers and in your thoughts and send her a lot of comfort. Um, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. Um, the other thing is, you'll be seeing some, little by little, we're going to transition to a new vision for Astrology Unplugged. It's not going to change that drastically. Don't get scared. It's not going to be like a cooking show or anything. But, um, Rick C and I are going to partner in really keeping this going. Astrology is what we love, and astrology is what brings us together. But we also know that there's a lot more than astrology that we do have in common, where it comes to healing, where it comes to soul growth, where it comes to spirituality. And we want to do that, because I know that that is something that um, Rick would love. And we want to honor him and ourselves and the group. Um, we're also going to have a new watering hole. We're going to start a new Astrology Unplugged Facebook page, and it's really for this community. And I think it'll be really great when we have updates or just between us. And it'll be a private group unless, you'll have to ask to join, um, to keep this even closer. Even I consider you guys some of my best friends, and I've never met you all in person. So it's really thank you, internet, because, you know, I was with Rick one time physically in person. So I'm so grateful for the internet because that's how I met him, and that's how I built this relationship with him, and that's how he became one of the most important people in my life. So I was lucky to have met him and spent time with him. But the duration of my relationship with him was really like this, the way you and I are right now. Um, and the last thing I want to mention is that there will be a celebration of life for him, and it looks like that's going to happen around Memorial Day weekend. And so there'll be more details around that for those that are local to his area being Perryopolis, Pennsylvania. So as I learn more, you'll learn more. But for those who want to travel, or just for those who are local, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And he'd want us to have fun. Um, and then I think that'll do it for that. And I just, yeah, there'll be more details and more adjustments. But for now, you know, log in with the link that you have, and as things change, I'll let you know and keep you posted. And then I welcome anybody's input, feedback, or anything that you'd like to, you know, topics that are interesting to you. I love to learn new things as well. But the the idea here is to grow spiritually. That's it. To that can be done through different mediums. Um, so with that, I'll hand it over to Rick C., who I think is gonna um, do a meditation with us.
Yes. Excuse me. My throat is a little rough here. So, let us all get centered. And as we remember Rick, I call Spirit forward and ask that our guides and his guides will step in and be with us in our presence as we share these beautiful thoughts, as we honor our dear friend, Rick. So you each have been shown who you really are from the vast array of your experiences, thoughts, beliefs, and values that you esteem in yourselves and others. These form your core essence. Some of these elements shine brighter in certain activities or with special people, and even more in mindful conversations in safe space. Rick was so much to so many people. Whether you see him as friend, brother, teacher, colleague, mentor, coach, counselor, father, elder, or uncle, he's now as close as the ancestors, ever mindful and able to share in our lives now. The presence of our beloved Rick met each of us with his intent to be purely Rick. We honored our bonds with him and explored the recesses of our being, our very identity. In those sacred moments, we shared the blend of gifts, what and who we are, his and our own. In some ways found, excuse me, and in some ways found new light to behold exquisite parts of ourselves. I'm going to share that again. In those sacred moments, we shared the blend of gifts, what and who we are, his and our own gifts and being, and in some ways found new light to behold exquisite parts of ourselves. Students of the esoteric have for centuries played with the idea of a university for souls on the other side, with different colleges within its hallowed halls in the spirit world. If you can imagine yourself in a comfortable lounge in that college, in a quiet corner, having long conversations of everything you have ever discussed with Rick, consider how well we each defined ourselves in those chats. Perhaps in front of a large fireplace, but not so big that you couldn't smell the musty tomes on bookshelves all around us. In those precious moments of insightful words, I suspect we all found he helped us shine a light on a particular facet of the jewel of our own souls, uncovered by a friend that we might never have seen without the power of his endearing love and kindness. You are now more aware of why we had the pleasure to know Rick. Anytime we think of him, he will always remind us how the grace of the ties that gently and securely knit him into the fabric of our own souls changed our awareness of our own identity. That's the role of an exquisite astrologer, and how we can memorialize the unique relationship we each had with him. So as you consider these things, unique to both you and Rick, if anyone would like to share a few words about the gift Rick is to us, perhaps you might even have ideas of how you came to stand in the power of your own identity because of having Rick as your friend.
Thank you, Rick. That was perfect. Thank you. So I can't wait to hear everyone's stories and everyone's um, take on how Rick affected your life. I, believe it or not, today I watched my first reading with him and I got more out of it. That was years ago, which happens. But he obviously has meant the world to me. But what Rick C just said is just how it's just divine, how he has exquisitely uh, helped me see the, I forgot the words, but just the power in myself. Oh, that was, I'd meet with him once a week, and once a week, I'd literally walk away from my computer after a long day at work. And sometimes I was so tired mentally, and I'd walk away from the chair going, oh my God, how, I just felt so alive. And I felt so like I could just levitate every week through learning, but just this person just infused this inspiration in me for different reasons. But what a gift to have a person like that in your life, and that he's invested time. And the first time he asked me to come to a group that he had going with John and Melody, who were here tonight, I thought I thought it was like somebody gave me a winning lottery ticket. Like, are you serious? Am I getting, is this a joke? But in my in my first reading with him, um, he told me what he does with people. Number one, he does three things. Number one, gives different perspective of myself. And then he helps find the confirmation for you. But the third one is that he handed out diplomas, and you guys have heard this. I've heard Linda talk about it. He handed out diplomas to put you back in touch with your essence, with your son, usually. But for you to see the beauty and the power in yourself. And this is what I'll close with because I know there are other people that want to speak. And this just made me want to, this just so Rick. He said, "You are God looking through your eyes." And that's the perfect way of putting it. And he helped us all see that, feel that, live that, into, of course, as he would say, let go of your shit, let go of your stuff, of your junk. Sorry, I cursed, but he said junk. I say shit. And how wonderful is that? Because even from the first reading, I get more and more. Is that amazing? And I am so lucky. We are all so lucky to have hours to go back to on YouTube and listen to him and his wisdom and his inspiration and his teaching style was so unique. And you guys, most of you here go way back more than I do. So you knew him as a teacher longer. He impacted me so much, and he seemed to have this faith in me that was really, I took it very serious. I still take it very seriously, obviously. So I'll open the floor to others who want to share.
Christine and Melody, I think, raise their hands up. They're possibly prepared with their thoughts. Would one of you like to go first? Okay. Christine?
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you, Claudia, and thank you, Rick. And um, yeah, Claudia, it's been nice to connect with you over the last week. I don't know a lot of you. I came in one time when he hosted me here, but I met Rick in probably like 2005. I met him at a Donna Eden conference. It was so random. I was sitting there with my coworker and we were getting ready to have, like girl talk. I just love it. He came out of nowhere and he's like, "Do you mind if I sit down with you ladies?" And we're like, "Who's this man?" I love it. He sat down and right away he's like, "I'm an astrologer." I'm like, "Oh, I'm a Pisces." And he's like, "Oh, I'm just finishing my chapter on Pisces." And he was just so excited. And I swear he was just one of those gifts like I just didn't see coming in my life. And Claudia, like you said, like he just saw something in me, like he believed in me. He just saw something.
Mhm.
And there was a time that, he maybe gave me some tough love and our paths parted for a while because, he said to me, "You're hanging on the cross. When are you going to quit hanging on the cross?" And I think it was just like part of my healing. I had a dear friend of mine. The only other person that said it, someone actually cut me down from the cross, like
Mhm.
shamanically. And that enabled me to reconnect with Rick a few years ago when I was just on the verge of I didn't know what was coming for me. I just pretty much lifted my head above water, divorce and COVID. Sometimes Rick and I like had a heart condition, or haven't now. Again, thought I was over that, but we run similar paths, um, but he was instrumental, my last reading with him, encouraging me in the work I do, hosting me here, talking about the plant oracle, and just again, just believing in me, just seeing something that so many people in my life just didn't see in me. And honestly, my work, I'm a therapist, but I don't do therapy anymore. I do more intuitive coaching and I throw a plant oracle and I'm a medium and I think it took it hard. Claudia, thank you I don't know how I found out because I've not on Facebook as much since the divorce, but I think now he's just someone else to sit around and talk to. So I've been talking to him. Well, I really have. I just had to let it work through me. I don't know how many spirits have come because like I'm on Instagram and a lot of people are like, "You're talking to me." I don't know what I'm being prepared for, but Rick apparently is part of it. Um, so many
Mhm.
spirits this weekend and today. And so that's really all I can say. He's just a special. he saved my life. And that's one thing. And I know, but now he's just here. I can talk to him. But he's like, if you ever, why didn't you call? And
Mhm.
um, I'm just lucky. I'm lucky that he's been there for those times after he told me that I called and other times saving me. So that's
Beautiful.
all I can say for thank you. Writing or, or cutting, sawing. I don't know if that's significant, but thank you for listening. Yeah. So
And Christine, I've seen, I haven't known you very long, but just from what I've seen, I've seen you just expand and really grow in this area. When it's just been so, your whole energy seems assured, like certain. There's a certainty that I'm sure didn't come easy, but it's showing.
yeah, yeah. They've got two near-death experiences and two head injuries and a
Yeah.
car accident. Yeah. Had a lot of awakening. And he's part of it. He helped
Oh
me
yeah.
through probably the first big one. Um,
Yeah.
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 It's you know how it is. It's
No, I
so
do. Thank you for sharing with us.
you're so welcome. I don't know if I can always tap into it, but he'll be here. So if you ever need to know something, let me know. But I can't, I only get what I get. So, but he's here, and even just Claudia, like you didn't know that was me. Like that was
You
just so
know,
unbelievable, and I didn't know. And then
yes,
yeah.
very serendipitously, I connected with Christine, or I kind of put two and two together. She commented me on she commented on something I posted, and then I realized, wait a minute, isn't she from that other place in Instagram? She knew Rick, and it was just one of those things. And now here she is, and I didn't realize that we had this connection
That
uh,
was him.
to Rick. Lovely, beautiful.
That was beautiful. That was him. He was
Yeah, oh,
whatever
yeah,
I said that day before. That was all him, and it hit me like a truck.
totally.
That was him. So.
Yes.
Thank you all. Beautiful work carrying the torch, both you and Rick. So I'm
Oh,
here for you. If
Thank you.
anything, for any
thank
support,
you.
let me know. Okay.
Definitely will. Thanks, Christine. Melody, good to see you.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Yeah.
I don't make it very often and didn't. And hey, John. Um, and wish still that there had been more time. But glad to be here. Glad to scroll through and see some familiar faces from past from past groups when I joined. And so good to remember Rick and join with people who are kind of just holding him dear.
Oh,
Um, it it the I resonate with everything that's already been said. Rick believed in me. He started me on the path I'm in.
mhm.
My first reading was while I was deconverting from fundamentalism, and God, 20 years later, so glad I did. And after the birth of my fourth child, and it was my first astrology reading ever. And even then, he noted that I had an ability, and he walked me through not just my own chart, but because I am a Cancer, he walked me through my children's charts and just really reaffirmed my desire to be a mother, because that had been a piece that I'd been conditioned to be combatant towards. And so it was really lovely to be put at peace with this natural desire that I have, as well as my own makeup and seeing it in my chart. I too have listened to that recording more than once, and then I transcribed it. And I will say I came here just to pay tribute to the seed that Rick planted in me 13 years ago, saying, and I'm sure you've all heard him say it, astrology should be taught in schools K through 12. And that day that Rick said that to me, I had a 5-day-old infant, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Wow.
And I was homeschooling, and I was learning about learning modalities and curriculums. And since that time, there has been burning within me this desire.
Um,
You froze up.
Yeah, it might be.
connection she's got.
Yeah, yeah. She was just getting to the good stuff.
Yeah.
I want to hear what she's saying about that desire.
I know. She'll breaks.
Maybe she can
Great
hear
idea.
us, but we can't hear her. That happens a lot.
And what kind of materials we can use. So I
Melody, we
love
missed
to
about the last
see.
20 seconds of what you said after desire.
We missed
Oh,
the last 20
oh
seconds,
We
Melody.
want
no.
to hear it.
Yeah,
We want to
you
hear
Oh
from you.
froze
no.
up.
You were getting to the good
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. Desire what?
You had just relayed how you had uh,
You
had
were home
the
with the baby.
kids home with all the kids, and you had been processing this idea of astrology being taught in schools. You were learning about
Yes.
modalities and learning
Yes.
modalities. It reminded me of Cynthia Tobias, who you may have
Okay.
encountered.
Okay. Okay. And that seed has been germinating with me over the last 13 years. And just this coming next week, Wednesday and Thursday, I will be part of an astrology summit where I will be, my talk is going to be about parents coming alongside and teaching astrology as a language, developmentally, stage by stage, and things we can do to make that happen. And how astrology as a language is uniquely suited for the age of Aquarius because language impacts brain. And I can think of no better language that physically in front of your face as well as energetically shows a holistic picture of everyone coming to the table in a conflict and having their individual um, desires and core wounds addressed other than astrology as a language. And so my passion is to see astrology spoken by
Oh,
everyone.
oh my God.
So I wanted to come and bring that. I literally have a kid who's going to need to be picked up from school. So I'm sorry to take like one of the prime first spots,
That's
but I had to
okay.
come
We're
and
glad you
share
did.
like the
That's
seed
so,
Rick planted is flourishing. Like he literally said also I still hear his voice, you should do something on the internet. And this is, in 2012. And I was like, okay, the internet, sure. And here we are. So
Melody,
anyway, thank you for
Melody,
celebrating with
hold
me.
on one moment. I'm going
Yes,
to take this time to say, if anybody else has to leave early, please keep in touch. I know that I welcome you to go ahead and hit me up on Facebook if you're there.
of course. Yeah.
And I'm sure Claudia feels the same.
oh yeah.
If anybody has to leave, we haven't connected more
Okay.
thoroughly,
Cool.
please do so.
Cool.
Yes.
Will
Yes.
do.
And I look
Yeah.
forward to having personal conversations with you, Melody,
Oh,
Yes.
because
awesome.
this
Yes.
is a great topic.
You need to keep us
That's great.
posted on that. That's amazing. Amazing. I'm so glad.
Congratulations,
I'm
Melody.
so
I
glad.
will do
Really,
that. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
I'm so
Congratulations.
proud
Anyway,
of you, my friend.
I wouldn't be here without Rick's encouragement along the way, his personal tutorials, his mentorship, the diplomas he hands out that hangs on
Yeah.
my wall, the just the talks of like, yeah, you're ready. I totally trust you to do readings for people and my calling being slightly different than what either of us
Mhm.
envisioned, but also like this is exciting. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks for
Oh,
listening.
yes. I'm so
Many
glad you did.
blessings.
Yes. Take good care, Melody.
Thanks.
Keep us posted. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. I remember, when I first met Melody, that was her thing, and now to see it, it's
To
it's out.
fruition.
It's
Doc,
sprouting, like he would
yeah.
say. He'd say these shoots are coming up.
Yes,
Um,
she is.
yeah. Uh, Dr.
Dr.
John,
John.
as he would call you, although that is your name.
Oh boy, wow. You all know Rick. Like, there's so many different things that I could say. I don't have anything prepared. Just, I think about, I guess maybe the best way to start is, how we met. Because I know Rick was posting on, online forums and stuff about astrology. But I saw one day that he had posted where he and Liza both were going to go to, it was like a crystal spiritual show at the John S. Knight Center in downtown Akron one day. This was like, I want to say it was probably around 12, 13 years ago, maybe about a little bit after, I think, when he had first met with Melody. But I said, I really have to see this guy in person because he's just like, I mean, just the depth that he's providing through his insights, the, astrological perspective on things, the wisdom. And he just, as Melody said, as you said, Claudia, he just had such a unique way of approaching it. And it was just so like, it's like I could go online and read like all these different articles from different astrologers, right? And not knocking any of them, like they all have their own flavor, but Rick just had his own, and it was just
Oh
like
yeah.
so like down to earth, so relatable, so much like okay, like I really really have to connect with this guy. And in person, it was pretty much the same thing. It was, I
Yes.
met him and told him where I had first seen his post ad, and it was just like oh, and it felt like a soul connection. Really, like I had known him from some other lifetime, and I'm sure, that that's the case. And we just connected from there, and just what a beautiful relationship. He really took me under his wing. First he did a reading for me, and as I think as many of you know, he's got a style, and he'll spend 40 minutes, that first 40 minutes, kind of talking you through, asking you questions and all, and then right around that 40th minute, he's got it. That's exactly how it was, and he just had it. I see you laughing, Claudia.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know. We all know. Um, but yeah, I was just so like, and the lesson for me, and again, as you've spoken into, Claudia, it's like, and Melody too. It's like he's got this thing that he would see for each of us, I think. And for
Hmm.
me, it was always around using my voice, and like I had this. I've got Mercury opposed to my Pluto, and then we've discovered Eris is on top of my Mercury later. So I had all kinds of things about speaking, and he took me through the harmonics and all that. But I think really, one of my key takeaways from Rick is that he taught me, first I thought the lesson was, okay, I got to figure out when this, I got to get through this thing where I'm bouncing and filtering all these thoughts through my head and all. And he said, you'll figure it out. I mean,
Hmm.
of course, right as he makes his transition, I think I really got it, all these years later. So it's like, I think this was like almost like his final exam was like in the very last show that he did, where he was on. I felt like, he's going around asking us all these questions and having us
Hmm.
speak. And, I honestly felt Claudia and Rick like it was like his final exam for me. And it
Hmm.
was just a few thoughts that he asked me to share, and I did. And it's almost like, okay, I think he's
Yeah.
got it. Like on a spiritual level, maybe he knew, right? Or, that this was his, he was coming down the stretch though, and he just wanted to check in. But,
Yes.
just a beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful
Yes.
gentleman,
Oh,
heart of gold, teacher of teachers. And, I'm a teacher myself. I think most of you know that of me. Um, and I always admire, like, I'm always open to learning from those that have a different perspective and teaching, different style. And Rick was just one of those people that, came into my life, and I think he's really, really the one that inspired in me, to go deeper in my study of astrology, which I
mhm.
had done, and trust myself, really to trust myself, and in trusting myself, was able to tap into, that intuitiveness when I do readings, when I speak, and just be me. And that makes it so much more relatable. That allows me to channel spirit through and really
Yes.
connect with people. So
Yes.
yeah, just a super kind, inspiring man. I had a chance to stay with him a couple of times, him and Liza. Just, as I said, the guy that you see on screen and that we know on screen is very much Rick all around.
Oh
Just,
yeah.
what a tremendous gift. I miss him. I already miss him, but I also know that he's with us in spirit and all. But yeah, just a beautiful man, beautiful soul,
Yes.
wonderful gift that his presence, his wisdom, his insight has brought to us all. And I know he's touched every single one of us here, every single one.
Oh, that is clear. And I do, when Rick was taking us through his meditation, I was getting so many goosebumps. So like it was overwhelming. And sometimes, throughout the day, I just feel like he's with me. Um, and that's really key what you just said, John, because uh at least for those of us that were studying with him, I mean, he really helped you trust your own self, your own intuition.
Absolutely.
Don't don't move away from, don't get in your head too much. Go with that thing that is in you that God puts is inside, puts inside all of us. Because that's never, it's not wrong. And the more readings I do, the more I find that it's happening naturally. And it's something that he really helped me with. And I had the same, sort of doubts about in my chart uh, with some things. And he really, I mean, by the time I have a lot of recordings of him and I, and it just, you could see the progression. And then like Claudia, a few months ago, it's like, oh my God, I said that? I did
Yeah.
that? It's because I mean, I know we're going to keep saying the same
We've
thing, but
all
it's
we've all
true.
come such a long way, Claudia. Like looking at Melody, looking at you, looking at me. Because I think you shared this, but like the three of us were, you know, I don't know how many other students that Rick had, but like I know the three of us were all in a group at one point with him, and he tutored us, and we got to learn from each other and got to become good friends, and
Yeah.
just all of us have grown in our own way, and I think that's true of everybody here. So again, just
Oh, for
I
sure.
think
Oh,
yeah,
definitely. Definitely.
yeah. So much love to you, my brother, my mentor, my friend Rick, and
Yes.
you're always with us.
Oh, yeah. Erica.
Where do I begin?
I know. I know.
I'm not exactly sure how I found Rick. I don't know whether it was on YouTube when I was looking for astrology YouTube shows, or whether it was on Facebook. Same, search. But um, I had basically been studying astrology since the 1980s, where you had to draw them by
Mhm.
hand and do your own research. And over the years, I'd have time to study, and then for many years, I wouldn't have time. And I didn't do charts. I just did it for myself and my family and friends, just as wanting to get more information and more tools, and just out of curiosity to add to all the other various things. Like I started out with Rosicrucianism and just wanting to know what all the different religions believe, and the theosophists and everything. So when I came across Rick, it was like, wow, he to me was this most generous person who was so willing to share of his time and energy and resources to put this show on every week. He was like your favorite person that you could go to in your neighborhood when there used to be small neighborhoods, like the wise uncle who was a little bit, you know, uh, unusual at the same time, and who would like let if you were going off kilter, trying to give you guidance, but so humble and so just such an authentic human being online, which is hard to do,
Mhm.
because so many people have this polished persona, and they're afraid for their marketing or whatever it is. But he was giving this all away for free,
Right.
and so even though um, I was in a completely different time zone, I just had to keep coming back for more, and learning so many little tips from him, and things that I still can't get my head around, probably never will, all the harmonics and everything, and all the great people that he shared with us
Oh,
in
yeah.
his show. So many gifts. I mean,
Mhm.
just such overflowing generosity all the time. And then to find out that he was suffering with MS during this time. It was like, oh my God, he was like heart saint, you know? and, and yet, you know, if he disagreed, if you did something wrong, he'd like, you know, all of a sudden, nope, that's wrong. Absolutely not. No, not going there. It's like I said, he was so authentic. I loved his personality because he was truly himself. And all he wanted to do was to give and enrich and make a better world, you know, and looking back through, you know, what I learned about his past, you know, his history with making the documentaries and being on a radio show where people would call in and like in 5 seconds he'd be reading their chart.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a most unique individual. I don't think you can find another person like him if you tried, honestly. And I will miss him, but I also, if he was, you know, going through physically what he was going through, then, you know, I'm happy he was released from that pain. And he worked hard enough. I mean, he was I'm going to do episode 500 if it kills me, you know, and I thought it was going to kill him, you know.
It is.
God bless you, Rick. God bless you.
Yes. Erica, you pointed out something that was I wanted to mention, and the way I found Rick was through the internet, through one of his early videos where he's going through the signs. So, you know, he starts with Aries and then he takes you through the journey. I don't know if this was right after the book came out or right before, but I remember looking at him and I thought, I've never seen anyone talk about astrology like this. He was so real in himself and really, you could tell he didn't care what anybody thought, which I just always loved. And that's when I thought, I got to find this person. And I get a reading because he was so, everyone was trying to be buttoned up and or so smart or so wise, and he was just being himself. And but everything that he was talking about astrologically, archetypally, what these energies are, with the zodiac signs was so just marvelous. And that's very special because he wasn't trying to be anything that he wasn't, but he was a teacher. He wanted you to learn, and he it was very obvious. I'm not sure if it was Karen or Stephen that was first, but
Karen, I think.
I met Rick in the first time I went to an astrology class, which was about 20 years ago. And I went, I think it was Joyce's house. And I didn't know anything about astrology, but I was interested and curious. And so I went. And you know, I always used to tease Rick about this because I almost quit this first night because he went through the zodiac and started explaining all the signs, and he got to Scorpio, which is my sign, and he started describing Scorpio, and I went into the bathroom and started hyperventilating because I am not any of that, and I was like freaking out, and that's like, I don't think I can do this. I'm just came back out, and I sheepishly raised my hand and said, I'm not any of that. And then he balanced it out a little bit. So I used to tease him throughout our relationship about not using emotionally charged language because Scorpios take that stuff seriously and I have nightmares. Yeah, so we started off and I took several rounds of classes with him and a group of people. And then I ended up going into doing, I ended up in another type of astrology that I practice. And so so Rick and I became friends and we would kind of look at charts a little bit differently. And he was, you know, I mean, we just loved each other and we were just incredible friends. And I used to read, my chart at least once a year. And then he loved and supported me through every crisis I had in the last 20 years, and I'm a Scorpio, so you can imagine how many that is. And I'm I just feel enriched by the love, and I used to tease him all the time when he'd start down the road of, more 10 years back than lately, but he used to make a big issue, and he'd start talking about police states and all this stuff, and I would immediately, the hair on my neck would stand up, and it's like, okay, we're doing it again. So we had a good relationship. We had a fun relationship. He opened up he's the one that introduced me to the woman who ended up mentoring me through the type of astrology I do. And he just opened up a whole way of looking at the world that I had never seen before, a language of that I used when I opened my center up. And I just went through pictures. I have these wonderful pictures of him and of Liza when they came to speak at my center, and they were rolling out their book. And I just have I don't have anything but wonderful, heartfelt memories of him and Liza. And I love the guy. Really, he could have been my brother. And we both spent a lot of our childhood in Hagerstown, Maryland. So we had that in common. So
Very sweet. Thank you for stepping forward and showing up.
thanks.
Thanks, Karen. Stephen.
It's really great to connect and compare stories. And one of the things that immediately comes to my awareness is that, he and I would have these very deep conversations and sharings and things like that. And I thought I was the only one that he had these really like emotional opening ups, but he's having it with all of you.
It was him. It was who he is.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And the more that one, or let's say in this case, of course, as Rick would open up his own heart, his own experience, and be real, then that just makes it more easier for everyone to be.
Yes.
Yeah. So we both share the earth water thing.
Mm-hmm.
And periodically we would go with, the practical earth and a Capricorn perspective, and, what are the nuts and bolts, and here are the different, dynamics of astrology and patterns and things like that. And then off over towards the water side, where it's like, oh, Rick, where did you just go? It was really great. But we go back to when I lived in the DC area, about maybe it was 2002, 2003. And it was the other hat that I wore, which is more of the water hat. And that's as a hypnotherapist.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very curious about his past lives. And he was wanting to know or understand like this vague sense of not agreeing about being here.
Mm.
And so we had this great session, and I have just a vague memory of it, but he would periodically remind me, oh, remember when you said, no, I'm afraid I don't. But in essence, he went to a previous life after death, and a great reluctance about being reborn, about coming back to the earth. There was something about it he didn't want, or it was unpleasant. And now some of his physical illnesses kind of make me think of that was some of what he didn't want to come back to.
Sure.
You know, you're going to suffer. There's going to be some pain about coming back to the earth. So, you know, we started off, you know, sharing and comparing in that way. And then, of course, we had both been professional astrologers for a long time. And he invited me several times to co-teach on the program. And it was really great to meet, you know, many of you and to share different perspectives. And there was, again, an opportunity to go back and forth between the earth and the water.
Yes.
You know, about here are some things I've learned and perspectives, and here's a couple of techniques and this angle and so forth. And then you get towards the feelings and the emotions and who are we talking to, and let's get real. You know, so all of that was very much a part of our interactions and comparisons. I must admit, you know, tonight I learned about him being involved with the video productions, and I didn't know that. So I was happy to hear about that because if I can think astrologically, that makes a little bit more sense with his Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Libra, which would very much fit into audio video productions and so forth. And we spoke about that particular alignment. I was quite fascinated with it. My older sister has that aspect also. And we, of course, talked about politics. I've got a Capricorn moon. So we would discuss what's going on and what are they up to now. And and one of the things was connected to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is coming up next year. And I said, oh, and we talked about it. It's like, well, you know, see what happened in the past whenever those two slow-moving planets came together, major things happening in the world, and it's going to happen again. And so I was actually hoping that we could go through that and share that experience again with this next Saturn-Neptune thing. But I do know from my own intuition, but also from several people here, that he's still hanging around. He's checking us out. He'll be, you know, checking in. And so he will be here, but on a slightly different vibration.
Yes.
So I just wanted to share a couple of different things about what we did and shared and how special he was.
Thanks, Stephen. I know he did have very rich conversations with you. I do know that. You guys were really, it was very stimulating. And I keep saying next year, but I think the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is this year, no? What's fully next year, but I think
Right. It's going to be totally conjunct next year, but this spring into the summer, they're going to be so close, both in like 0 degrees Aries, which is pretty strong. So yeah, it will be felt this year. It's like the start of what I call the Saturn-Neptune typhoon will begin this spring and summer, but then next year they will be conjunct.
Fully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about that here. That's for sure. That's a big, big transit.
Major.
It's a very big signature for the next, I don't know.
It's interesting, too, in light of all that we saw in the Aries-Taurus representation of Pluto entering into Aquarius, and how that is going to really enhance individual concepts of identity, because we saw that being an issue. I see Linda Jordan is up in the queue.
Thanks, Stephen.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. And I hope that when we get to talking about that conjunction, that Stephen comes back.
Yes, me too.
Right now, I want to hear what he has to say about it. I first met Rick at a bachelorette party. Okay. I mean, is that crazy? It was a bachelorette party. My personal trainer, I lived way out in the South Hills, and my personal trainer brought him in to do readings at the bachelorette party. And there was a bunch of women there. I mean, and this cat is biting me. I'm sorry. It's not, you know, it's just, she just will not, she's a kitten and she just will not let me be on the internet without her chiming in. But I don't know, there was probably 10 or 12 women there. So he was churning through readings. And for some reason, and I think it's the teacher in me, I'm always the person who goes last. If I travel with my cousins, I get the last shower. You know, so I'm the last person up, and he's got to be exhausted. He had to, because he's going through all these charts with
Right,
these
right.
people, and these were not the deepest people in the world. Nobody in that room ended up on Astrology Unplugged.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I get there, and he starts to read for me, and I can't remember anything he said about my chart, not one thing. We started talking, and I said, I want to learn how to do what you do. I'm interested in what you're doing. And so that's what we were talking about. Although he did read the chart. And I said, do you ever teach classes? And he, oh, no, 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 I'm done with that teaching classes. No, no. This was like 2010 or something. It was a long time ago. And the one thing I did ask him about, because I was married at the time, and my now ex-husband wanted to know if his son was ever going to get a job, because he was finishing up undergrad school. He was 30 years old. He had worked and got laid off and went back. We got him to go back to school. And he was very hopeful that he would get a part-time job to help out. And Rick looked at his chart and he said, nah. He said, go back and tell him he's not going to get a job until he graduates. He said, forget it. There will not be a job till he graduates. And that was the first time I learned that Rick is always right. He never one time told me anything that wasn't correct. It didn't pan out. That wasn't 100% on point. So that there was that. And then, when we got done talking, I had sort of tried to talk him into teaching me and having a class, and he wasn't having any of it. And then, sometime later, I took a friend in to get a reading when he had that place up in Green Tree. Remember the place up in Green Tree? So, and so he looks at me while I'm bringing her in there, and he said, well, I'm thinking about teaching a class, and we exchanged information. And the next thing I know, I'm in a class with Karen Shanahan. Remember when we were over on that down in the South Hills? I think it was your husband's office, right? It was beautiful. It was wonderful. And so, so everything went from there. But along the way, I always read his newsletters. I mean, I read them cover to cover, like studied them and so on. And I thought they were great. But the one.
Linda, somewhere Rick is really thrilled that you just said he was always right.
Oh, he was always right. He was always right. I mean, I've never, well, I'll tell you another instance when he was right. The last time I had what I call my Libra episodes, my, the whole serial monogamy thing where I got to have a boyfriend, and I was pretty old for that sort of thing. This was back in 2013, and I was at Duquesne at the symposium on the 50th anniversary of the assassination of John Kennedy. And there's people from all over the world at this thing. And I'm like boo-hoo in my car because this guy was cheating on me. And so Rick had said he would talk to me on the lunch hour in between these sessions, because, oh my God, it was so crazy. And I'm boo-hoo, and he just let me have it. He said, you got to give up this Libra crap. He said, it's ruining your life. And then he, once he hit me with a 2x4, and then I go, oh, okay. And then he started talking about my Scorpio moon. The Scorpio moon and the Scorpio in the first house, and the fact that my mother and all the way back on my female line, they're Scorpios. And he said, you have to start paying attention to this other energy. You cannot just ride the Libra train the rest of your life and go on and, end up married to 9 guys, and, you have to get over that. And that was it. That was over. It was over for me then. I was done. I was done with that. Because he was right. He was right. He was right. It took me a while and a couple more sessions with him, but it was extremely helpful. But nothing like sitting in the parking garage at Duquesne University, weeping in your car at the Kennedy Symposium, and having an astrologer telling you, oh, you got to cut all that stuff out. But I want to say that over the last 6 months, there's some mediums here who maybe can tell me whether I was right or not, but I felt like he was going in and out, that he was not always here. That sometimes he was he had a foot on the other side. And that I thought that was for me that was very disconcerting, and I started feeling bad then because I knew 100% this was coming, and you know um my own schedule made it hard to get here because people kept scheduling me to do things on Thursdays, and I kept telling them I can't do things on Thursdays, and they say, well, you have to, um, but he was doing that. He was I thought he was coming in and out.
Yeah.
And I was very grateful. And I think it's very thoughtful of him to have prepared this group to move on with Claudia and Rick because we are in such good hands.
Thank you.
We're such this group is very important for where we are in the world right now. I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm not an astrologer per se, and I'm not some psychic, but there are things sometimes, that I've been told that I'm 100% certain of, and this is important what we're doing here, and we can't give it up, and so there's that. And then the last thing I'm going to say is, my cat Shelby, my astrology cat, she passed away this summer, and when I heard that Rick had crossed over, I all I could think of is maybe, because Shelby loved him. I mean, she only knew his voice on the internet, but she loved him so much. The minute she heard him, he would be right there. And I thought maybe she was there for him when he crossed.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
I hope so because she loved him, and she was a cat. But she was quite a cat, And I think sometimes cats are angels.
Oh, yes.
And dogs.
At least superior beings to what they're thought of.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm hoping that she was one among many people who were over there to greet him. I'm hoping there was a cat. So that's all I have to say. I mean, I can't even imagine, really can't imagine life without him. Because even if I didn't talk to him every week, he was always there.
Yeah.
He was always there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, I think, and we have to figure it out. And one of you guys are gonna have to throw down and figure out who my new astrologer is. And just let me know which one of you is volunteering to do it, because somebody's gonna have to do it. And it has to be somebody strong-minded enough to tell me, stop what you're doing.
Cut out the Libra crap.
I'm cut out the Libra crap. Oh, he just despised Libra. He just did, and I don't. And he would try to take it back. He said, "Oh no, but
You said it enough times, Linda.
We did that chapter of the book, and I looked back at it again, and it wasn't so bad. But no, let me tell you, as a Libra, I will tell you, he despised Libras, and not individually, but that weakness that that can take away from your personal development because you're so focused on the other. I have a cat.
Linda, when you get a chance, check out the chats. Marita has given you a message in the chats.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. But
Yes.
I'm not going to say I don't hope Rick rests in peace. I hope he's up there raising hell and making things happen up there. Because we surely need it down here. So
May he rest in power.
may he rest in power. And I love all of you, and let's keep it going. And if anything I can
Absolutely.
do, just I'm on Facebook. I could give you some of you guys my home phone number if you want to text me. I'm here. So
Thanks, Linda. That
on
really
to the next person.
It really,
These
thank
cats
you
are-
so much. He had a cat. I have no doubt that Shelby was there to hang out with him when he crossed over. He also had a cat of his own, and he was devastated when he passed. This was about 2 years ago, maybe. Stuart, that was his name.
Stewart, that was it.
Stuart. Yes, yes, yes. And he loved cats. Thank you for that. I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. Everything. He's incredible.
Jane is up in our queue next. Marcia, do you want to share at the next? Okay.
I just First, I want to say, Linda, thank you. I just, man, I love you. I mean, I love you all, but and Linda, that just you really hit me
Oh
with
yeah.
what you were talking about, Linda. Thank you. I'm a bit teary, but I think it's because I just had this thing come through, and I don't know if you guys, some of you don't know me. I'm in beautiful downtown Australia, and so it's Friday morning here, and I haven't always been able to join.
Mhm.
Um, and I got introduced to Rick through my friend astrologer Ksenia Moore, and then he did a reading for me, which was just mind blowing. And so that's when I started connecting with all of you beautiful people. Thank you. So in the end, it's me just being completely grateful for this because it just lifts me up all the time. But I just had this thing that I thought every time Rick said, Jane, would you like to talk? A girl from down under. And it was just this beautiful, gentle love. Every time he had this way of saying something to me that I just had this sense of being, there was like a joy and a love and a kindness in the way he approached me. He probably with everyone, but I just was feeling it just then. And I just wanted to say, I was so grateful for that. I'm completely grateful for all of you and what I've been learning. And it's lifted me, it's uplifted me, and it's brought me into a place that I was really looking for in a spiritual sense. And so thank you, everyone. That's all from me. Thank you.
Jade, I
And
want
thank
to
you,
let you
Rick.
know that that is a very real experience that you're having. And when people come together, sharing and loving on a soul like we are in regard to Rick, it is a very common experience to have him step forward, bring messages, and simply touch people's souls as he has brought you into this fold and extended himself in grace.
Yes, it just felt like that. But I also get that from you, Claudia and Rick, and many of you. I really get that. So again, I'm just grateful because I don't have many humans in my life that I connect with like I do and what I'm learning from you too. So
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you.
I get it.
Absolutely.
I totally get it. It's, I'm serious. These, you, like Linda just said, the people that you're looking at on the screen right now, they're important to me. Um, and I think it's important in our time. We're no more important or less important, but I mean this connection and how we are um, kind of guided by this North Star that happens to be called astrology, but really it's a lot more than that. It's way more than that, and we know that. And that's truly really special. I don't have a lot of people that I talk to personally in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So to come here every week and like I don't have to I, I don't have to explain myself. I know you get it. That's really
Yeah.
yeah.
And I just want to say to Linda, I hope you don't mind, but you keep popping up on my Facebook page to have you as a friend, and I'm going to hit it next time. I know you don't know me well, but I'm just going to hit it well. Okay.
You should.
Thank
Linda, you're on mute. So she can't hear you.
Anyone who friends me who isn't a troll with a faked up male face and a boat behind him, I will usually take their friends. But I'm honestly sometimes I think it's crazy. But please, anybody, I'm on Facebook under my regular name, and I just on the chat I just gave Rick my cell phone number, so he and Claudia can have that, or anybody else who. I mean, I'm not like a astrology person. I'm a college professor, but you know, you never know. You
Wonderful.
know,
Exactly. No, you really don't. You don't.
Absolutely.
Last few months have actually been an example of that, where I feel like I don't have enough uh, contact with some of you, actually most of you, except for Facebook. And I don't want Facebook to be the only medium. And I think,
well,
yeah.
I mean, on Monday I went to the Martin Luther King breakfast at my university, which is a sort of a community-wide thing, and one of the things that I did that. It's my second year at it, and I did that for the same reason. I think this is important: is that we need good people, like-minded people, people who are grounded in love and service, need to be connected together. We can't
Yes,
just live in our little suburban boxes or our little rural boxes. We have to be connected. And this is really a good way to do that. And this is an international connection,
yeah,
right? I mean,
over.
Rick is one of those international players. I mean, some people play up here on the international level, and some people are like me, grubbing around in the classroom in the North Hills of Pittsburgh, but it's still important. It's still important.
Very, very much so.
So Jane, hit me up on Facebook.
I just want to take a moment. I know, Christine, I'm gonna call on you next, but I just want to take a moment to say, we have normally we end the show at 8:30, but I'd like to just, if anybody, you don't have to stay, but tonight we're gonna extend it, so don't feel like you're gonna be rushed, because you're not.
If anybody does need to leave earlier, maybe we can give some
And if you want to
space.
go ahead and
Yeah.
and speak, please do.
Please step forward if you need to leave earlier. Thank you so much.
I thought I lost Christine on my screen there. Did you?
I think she might wait a little bit until after a few people who haven't had a chance to speak get an opportunity.
Sigmund, I saw you raise your hand earlier. Did you want to say something?
I think he's trying to talk. You might be muted.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything because, everything about, well, a lot of my involvement with Rick is about me, and this is not the place for that. I've known Rick for a lot of years. Rick and Liza, and we've always been close. There was never any pretense. We didn't have to get to know each other. It was just, what's happening, and like that. So I have nothing more to say.
Sigmund, I know how fond he was of you. Thank you. Thank you for that. And Liza too. Definitely.
And really, it's going to be important if you one day come to see how your shared experiences have changed you. That's a fine thing to share. Marcia did have her hand up earlier. I do recall that.
Yeah, Marcia did, and I think Reverend Greg is also raising his hand too.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Reverend Greg, I see you have your microphone on. Do you want to go ahead and we'll have Marcia right after?
Yes, I have a couple things I've thought about that is interesting. And first off is I do feel Rick is with all of you and all of us in helping. The day after he had passed, he came to me in a meditation. And it was a wonderful energy to recognize that he's free and the limitations he had in life, in the body and the mind at times, because he was affected in the mind by the body a lot. Yeah. And that really bothered him greatly, that he didn't at times feel the clarity. And I feel the love for all of you, and I feel he's certainly with all of us. And I remember doing radio shows with him. I think the one time I was on with you folks a few times, and he said to me, he says, I think it's about 33, 34 years now we've been doing radio together. And it was interesting, we used to do WMP in Wheeling, West Virginia, and I would serve all the churches down there, and it was always an interesting energy. But I believe the world is going through such a change of energy right now. And the narcissistic energy I see in the world right now is pretty profound. And I believe that a group like this and other groups I know were coming together. And I'll share this. I live up in Lloydale in the summers, and I'm one of the mediums there and been there for basically all my life. And I find that this past summer there was an interesting energy occurred. I was in the auditorium finishing a group of people with messages, and all of a sudden I saw an aura around everyone in the auditorium. And
Mm.
there was a few hundred people. And the aura was like a disc around everyone about waist high. And I saw this whole in the auditorium. I mean, we had people in the bleachers in the back. I mean, it'll hold 1,000 people. And we had a few hundred people there. And it was just amazing to see the aura. And I'm attempting to finish the message for this one lady. I was finishing a message and I had to concentrate to make sure I finished it correctly. I'm looking at the aura and it was amazing to me. And I excused myself and started to leave. And Spirit said to me, "We want you to see what we're doing. We want you to know they haven't awoken yet to this, but it is there and we're working on it now." And I thought it was an amazing energy to experience seeing. And people walk up to me afterwards and they'll say, "Thank you for the message," or, something like that, or "Thank you for being here." And I would say probably 80% of all the people there came by and had to touch my shoulder, touch my arm, shake my hand. And it was like, I'm just looking at this going, wow, this energy is amazing. Well, there's recognition going on in the world right now that we're needing to be aware. It's going to be changing. The awakening is coming. And groups and people like yourselves are needing to know that the link and connection you have is wonderful. And he is certainly supportive of this from the other side. I feel with him, it was utterly amazing for him to step out of the body and realize that he had no more restrictions. And that just was an experience for him that you can't put in words. And I feel he's at peace with that. And he's already over there running around trying to figure out what he can do from that side. So it's wonderful. And I want to say, love you guys. I think you're wonderful. Please stick together. Please work together. Please continue to work with the energies that you do. And don't doubt that the loved ones are around us. Don't doubt that God's energy is working in a very positive way. I look at people that live in fear and they live in panic and drama, and I feel bad for them. And I send out the thought and prayer that they come to a point of understanding and harmony, and they can manifest harmony and generate harmony to reach everyone. All of you are generating the harmony. Let's work with that energy, enjoy that energy, and please share that energy. And I think it's wonderful. And thank you for the two of you that have been putting this together. And I think it's wonderful that you're there. And I hope to talk to you guys in the future. I have
Yes,
some other things tonight that I have to go to and do. So God bless you all.
God bless you, Reverend Greg.
God bless you, Reverend Greg. Good to see you.
yes,
Thank you so
Enjoy.
much.
yes,
You're welcome. Nice to see all of your faces.
yes. Thank you very much for that. That was beautiful. That was much needed. And
Very grateful for it.
yes,
Thank you.
we'd
Thank
love to
you.
have you back when you have time, Reverend.
Sure.
I'll stay
Sure.
in touch with you. I'll stay in touch.
All righty.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So much.
And let's enjoy the wonderful things in life because we have so much wonderful. If we're focusing on that,
Yeah.
the other things shrink and we're needing to expand the love and the positive.
Yeah.
Thank you. You take care now.
Many blessings to you and much love.
Thank you. Bless you.
Thanks,
Bless
Reverend.
you.
I needed to, and I don't mean to call you out, Sean, but it's really good to see you. We were actually,
It's been a while.
yes, Rick C and I were talking about you and wondering what is going on with Sean, and it's really great to have you. Even Rick D and I would when we would meet, sometimes there are people that come for a while, some people stay for a while, and they all mean something to us. And it is just really, it's great to see you. How have you been?
I've been good. I had no idea what was going on until the Reverend started speaking. Then I put two and two together, and I just realized. So I have no, I don't even know when anything happened.
You mean you just showed up tonight?
Yeah,
That was Rick's nudge,
yeah,
making your schedule capable.
definitely. Yeah, and the last time I spoke to him, he said, I said, "How you doing, Rick?" And he said, "I'm not doing too good, son." That's the last thing I remembered. And I told him I just moved to PA. And then I said, "So anytime you want, man, just let me know. I'll come see you." That's the last conversation we had. Yeah. Mhm.
Wow. That's
Did you say
incredible.
there was a recent move to PA?
Yeah.
Oh, what part?
Northampton.
In the
Northampton,
west.
Pennsylvania. I have no idea about any other names. It's close.
Okay.
It's close to Whitehall. I think.
Oh, okay. So it's a Pittsburgh suburb.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we have about 90 boroughs there.
Oh, okay.
You'll have fun learning.
Yeah, I've just been being taken for a ride, with everything that's going on. But no need to speak about my ride right now. As I said, yeah, I've just found this out. So, wow.
I can't believe it. Well, I sure am glad you're here. I know Rick D definitely enjoyed talking to you. Yeah. So I just find it amazing.
Yeah.
You just thought it was just another evening. Yeah, so Rick
Yeah,
passed away on January 15th. And we I have been feeling this for a while.
yeah,
Um, it was kind of, I think, I don't know. It didn't surprise me, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I miss him, but I sure am happy that
yeah. I'm happy.
he doesn't have
Well,
to hurt anymore.
and he sounded like the energy he gave me is like, yeah, that's what's going on. And internally, I won't lie to you guys. I knew as well. I don't know how. I'm just saying it's like
Yeah.
something inside of him was telling me that. And I
Yes.
found myself saying things like, "Oh, so whenever you're ready, Rick, let me know." I'm like, what the heck am I even saying? For real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what that was. So yeah. Hmm.
It's tough, but I understand. I understand. Um, and I know that we have, each our own relationship with him,
For
and we'll
sure.
we'll make
But the
peace.
said though, because it's more of a pain for us, but it's truly freedom for him.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well deserved, well earned rest. Seriously. Um, he'd had some things to deal with health wise that, for a long time. So I am glad he's resting. He's not really resting though. He's partying. I think he's partying. I think he's having a good time. I think he's playing the guitar. I think he's with his friends. He was a big friends guy. He loved his friends. And he would say to me sometimes when we'd log on Monday nights, we'd go, we'd start talking and he just found out about somebody else that passed, one of his friends. In fact, not too long ago, he lost a friend. And I know that he is
He
having a
was
good
deeply
time.
upset by his loss of Michael Weir.
Oh, yeah.
That was a huge
Oh,
blow.
yeah.
It totally changed his
Yeah.
demeanor and the
Hmm.
fight that he had in him.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Marcia, I think, was next to go ahead and share.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I said earlier, I've known Rick for 55 years, and he was always like a brother for me. And the only reason I joined Astrology Unplugged is like so I could hang out with Rick and just to be around his essence through this wonderful group. And he just always accepted me and encouraged me. I'm not an astrologer. I'm becoming a homeopath, but the energies are there in both aspects. But I wanted to share a couple things about Rick. He also loved a dog, and his dog was Heavy Dog. And Heavy Dog was a chubby black lab, and he loved Heavy. He just loved Heavy. I just wanted to share that all with you.
Aw.
Yeah, and he loved cats too. And I'm a super cat person, so
Yeah, yeah.
but and then his film work was really good. I do encourage you all to look at the Apple Shop, appleshop.org. I think Erica put it on the chat, and he also did other films in Wheeling. I was actually with him. I was an extra in one of them. He said, "Marsha, come up and be in this film." But I loved Rick a lot, and he was brilliant. He was really brilliant. And I just wanted to show you a photograph of his insight, and you can see it in his eyes. It's not the clearest photograph, but maybe you can see it a little bit. Let me know if you can see it.
Okay. Pull it up higher, Marsha. Higher, higher, higher. To your right.
That's better.
A little lower.
Yeah.
A little higher. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, the screensaver.
Yeah, it just went off screen.
It went off screen.
Oh, I'll put it back.
That's young Rick, right?
Yeah.
That's that hair.
Beautiful, beautiful hair.
I'm trying to get it back. Sorry.
That's all right. That's so funny.
A little bit higher. A little bit higher. There you go.
Beautiful.
Nice. Nice.
And that's I met him before that. He was even a little younger when I met him, but he did love his friends, and
oh, he did. He did.
Oh, and he called me shortly before he died. I picked up. He called, and I picked up the phone, and he said, "Oh, Bud," and I said, "Hi, Rick," and he said, "All I can do is say hi because I don't have the energy."
Oh,
and I said, "I love you," and that was it. Last time I ever spoke to him.
Oh, you know, I just looked through my phone, and the last text I got, he said, "I love you, girl."
Yeah.
Listen, I want to show you this because you guys will. Oh God, I hope you can see this. Shoot, hold on a minute.
It's kind of bright.
Yeah, hold on. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on.
Can you darken it a little bit?
Those words, though, are just pure Rick.
Oh, you can't see it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to post it on Facebook. It's a beautiful picture of him.
It's probably too bright, Claudia.
Yeah. A beautiful picture of him when he was probably in his early 30s. He's just standing there. Oh, it's beautiful. But I have to tell you, Marsha, because I thought of you. Over the weekend, I was with Liza, and she showed me a picture that she had on the wall, and it was him. He was in his 20s. He had long hair and a long coat, and he was standing in the street. Maybe you know this picture, and right above there's a sign from like a restaurant or something that it said the Buds. And yeah. And it was, I went to take a picture of that too, and I forgot. I'm going to ask her to send it to me. It's like a, it's a thing with him and his friends, and Marsha is in on that, and Anita, and maybe others in the group. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. So one last thing we would say when we saw each other, if you were a Bud, we'd say, "Ho, Bud," and when it was time to leave, "To, Bud." Yeah. So I said that to Rick, "To, Bud."
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Maybe we should make that our sign off. We can all just "To, Bud" to Rick.
To, Bud.
That's right. I do want to give an opportunity to to Anita or Suzanne if they'd like to speak. They don't have to. Please do not feel pressured at all. So,
I
and
just unmuted if I can speak for a second, Claudia. Is that
yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Thank you. And wow, I wish I had the mindset tonight to have written down some of the things that people said. Because they, I don't know who said it was like getting hit with that he would hit you with a hammer, right? Hit us on the side of the head with a hammer. Yeah, that was Rick. Or the way he would just say, no, you can't do it that way. What do no, 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 and that was Rick. He was so straight with us. Like Marcia, Rick and I go back to college days, and like Marcia, um, I'm not an astrologer, but I have profound interest in understanding why I'm here, who I am, and what is this place, and how
Yes.
do we all work this together? So I'll share just a quick story though. Rick, I was going through a very difficult time. And one day, maybe I'll share that because it is relatively profound, especially in the age of now coming to light all of the avenues that maybe our country and our government has gone down that, some of us and all of us or many of us have been oblivious to. So I was involved heavily in something that was happening at a high level with the government, and it was very, very difficult. And as a result, I lost someone. And at that time, Marcia said to me, "You need to talk to Rick." And I hadn't talked to him for a while. It'd been a couple of years, at least maybe 10 years. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to reach out. So I called him and I shared with him that I was really struggling with having lost this person. And he said he had to go. He had to leave. And I got so mad at him. I really got mad at him. Like, I didn't get mad at him, but in my way, I got mad that he would say that because I needed an earthly answer. I needed my questions answered. I needed someone to be held accountable. Um, and he said, the accountability is there. He had to go. And, it took me about 6 months to turn around and come back to him. And that was in 2011. And that this happened. And I reached out to him about 2 years later. And I have held on ever since because he was so right. There's a line in Miss Saigon that has stuck with me forever. And it's spirits know when to fly. And that's what he taught me that day. And so,
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Anita.
yeah.
Thanks, Anita.
So the other thing I know that I was late coming to the meeting, and I don't know if others were also late, but if we could circle back at some point to make sure that everyone does know um, about what's happening this spring for him.
Oh, yeah. So I did tell the group, Anita, and there
Okay.
will definitely be more talk
Information
about
will
it.
be forthcoming.
Sure, sure.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
We're going to have also a Facebook group that will be closed
Okay. Good.
to us. Um, I think we can make it publicly searchable to make it easier. That doesn't get anybody in. They would still
Right.
have to need to
Right.
have access.
Okay.
That'll
Yeah.
help you out. And we will definitely be sharing that information later as we get more details.
Definitely. Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know you guys go way back. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
lot of years that some of you, you know, have
Yeah.
known him for as long as I've been alive. I mean, it's a long time to really know
Yeah.
someone and be
So
with them
fortunate.
and experience them and laugh and cry and I'm grateful.
But I have to say, Stephen said he thought he was special. We all thought we were so special. so, so I just
It
love
was
that.
Rick that was special
Yeah, it was Rick that was
in
special.
his way to go ahead and make us all feel like we were so poignantly a part of his life.
Right.
Yes, yes. And he had a way of empowering people. He used to tell me one of the best things he ever told me. Well, he used to tell me a bunch of good stuff, but he used to say, don't be afraid to be wrong. Just go with your gut, look at the chart, or just say what's in your heart. Don't be afraid to be wrong. And maybe because he knew that was probably my thing I needed to work on, but it was all about lifting me up, right? And how many of you have felt that? I mean, you're saying the same thing, and it can't be said enough because I think, imagine if we all did that for everyone, or had that spirit of such generosity and love, that I mean, like Reverend Keene was saying, we need this, and Linda Jordan, we need this right now more than ever. And I think
If I could share one more thing, and
Mhm.
then I'll pass the torch. But and again, something, he had a way of of speaking to each of us in the words that we needed to hear.
Uh-huh.
And he said to me, this is not a breakdown, this is a breakthrough.
Absolutely.
And that too has been, I've worn that badge. And I believe that. And I believe that for all of us, that every single thing that we go through, we can think of it as a breakdown or we can think of it as a breakthrough. And one is empowering and the other is not.
Mhm. Right.
That's right.
Yes.
So with that, thank you guys. And I'm going to mute and turn it over to you.
Thanks, Anita.
And I'm just saying goodbye. Bye, everyone. Lots
Oh,
of
bye,
love.
Jane.
Mwah.
Good to see
Lots
you.
of love,
Good to
Jane.
see you.
Many
Bye,
blessings
darling.
to you.
See you soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Much love to you.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Good to
much.
have you tonight. Go ahead, Stephen.
Thank you. Nice to hear everybody's stories. And I was thinking a couple of things about what Linda was saying, about how he was giving Libras a tough time. And I was wondering if it's actually more of his stellium in Libra and Mars in the middle of that, that he is almost like an honorary Libra. And that, of course, comes in handy when you do counseling, one-on-one, two people together. That's a very Libra thing to do. And maybe he was kind of fighting that, maybe with his Mars there, fighting his own Libra side. Anyway, the other thing she said was that he seemed to be coming in and out, and especially in the last couple of years. It's been more than a year since I've connected with him. And as a classic astrologer, I got the information about when he died. I looked at his chart and I did not see him leaving. And I was wondering, because I haven't been in contact, did he leave way before that, before the 15th of January? I don't know, but I could not see it in his chart.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know that we'll ever know, but His last few weeks were difficult. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Difficult for the human body. Right?
Did he,
Yeah.
by the way, did he go off into a coma for a couple of days, or was it just a kind of a quick?
No.
We're going to share this online, so maybe that would be
That's true.
something to share some other time.
Okay.
Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah.
And then
We have Christine and Suzanne yet, who have not shared.
and Marita, if she would like to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suzanne says her mic isn't working, so she's not going to share.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Can I share?
Yes.
It's Chris. By the way, everybody calls me Chris, but
Oh, Chris.
Okay, good.
Good to know.
it's so weird when I hear people say Christine. I'm like, who is she? But first, this group is wonderful, and I have cried so much. Sorry from all the beautiful stories and all the love. I loved him. He gave me confidence in myself. And he was loving, but I loved how blunt he was. He was blunt, and like he let you know, like when there was no flowery language. He told you exactly what was in your chart, what you needed to know. And I met him way back. It was 2010, and he was friends with a psychic friend of mine. And my mother was an astrologer for years, so I knew not a lot about astrology, but I was learning it as a teenager, and I saw and he was so interesting, and I messaged him and I asked, can I friend you? And that's how I got to know him. And then, and he did my chart. And I remember he said to me, and which is something my mother never told me, but my mother had a lot of issues. And I come from like a really dysfunctional background. So a very, just bad background. But my mother was a good astrologer, but she never told me this. And he said to me, well, you came here to help. You did not come here with karma. And I said, really? I said, well, I'm making a lot of it. So I know when I go back, I'll be coming back to remedy that. But he told me things that my mother never told me. And it helped me. It helped me grow. And because I understood things about myself, which, it was clarification. And I had a couple dreams of him. I didn't know that he passed on Wednesday. And I have had, ever since I was a child, when I was a child, I saw spirits, and I would get messages from deceased people ever since I was a child. So this has been with me forever. And I did not know he passed on Wednesday, but he popped into my head and said, keep up the good work. And I thought, I must be imagining this. And then I found out that he passed. Well, the other day I was talking with my sister and we were discussing astrology, and this is funny. So, and we were trading like, oh, this astrologer said this and that astrologer said that. Well, he comes into my dream. He's off in the distance, and he says to me, he says, watch where you're getting your astrological information from. And then he's gone. And I woke up and I bust out laughing. And I thought, he heard me. He is listening to me because he wanted me to learn astrology. He kept saying, it's in your chart. You should be an astrologer. And I love astrology, but I just pursued like my art and taking care of animals, my children. I pursued everything and my psychic ability has always been there, but I never pursued any of that. So I don't know. I'm going to still take his course, but I feel very blessed that God let me get to know this man. And I wish I would have attended much more of the Unplugged sessions. I watched them, but I just wish I would have been there because he was fun. And I loved talking to him. I loved hearing him talk to everyone. He was just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a bright light.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, okay, I'm done. I
Oh,
love you.
we love you.
Much love to you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you, Rick. Fly high. I pictured him flying in the universe when he was free, visiting all the planets and saying, "This is Saturn and this is Pluto." So maybe he did. Okay, I'll see you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you, Christine.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
That's wonderful.
Go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say, honestly, yeah, one thing about Rick though, he never had any fear, sensed any fear in him. That's one thing. Like it don't matter who's on his channel, he ain't afraid to put you on the spot. But yeah, if anything, like if I had any doubt about anything, let's just say in the near future, just the fact that I came on here and I'm hearing all this now, I don't feel like I have the doubt anymore because I know he was a special person, and with the Most High, and I know that they're connected right now. So, and I know that this group right is like his heart. So I'm sure we all are good. I never. The reason why I came across him, the main thing I wanted to get to him, I didn't get to before he left us. But I'm pretty sure eventually I'll get there, get the answers.
You will.
You guys
Sure.
live right now?
What was that?
Are you on YouTube right now? You're not live, right?
We're not live. No.
Okay, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, but
I'm pretty sure eventually everything will come out in the weekly groups though, meeting.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I sent you a message, Sean, if you want to take a look at it when you have a moment.
Well,
But yes, it's great to have you. He was fond of you, and the way he used to say, when something is important, you don't be afraid. Some people, they need to be shaken awake. They need to be told because,
yeah.
and I've had that so many times with my readings, and I talk to him about it when I know something's hard, and he goes, nope, you got to be really honest. You're not doing them any favors if you're gonna hold back, or if you're not gonna, or if you're gonna sugarcoat it.
And that's what I really wanted to get through to him because it's like I feel like, but the thing is, I'm not trying to be special. There's this thing where the me inside of this body here wants to be special or something. But it's like I feel like I got this knowing. You understand me? Like this thing of all things, and I just wanted him to kind of talk some sense into me, whether it's good or bad, if whether I'm on to something or not, because I just wanted to figure out what this thing is, like just a feeling of not knowing anything, but still knowing everything, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
what he would probably say is
That's actually
exactly,
transcendent.
Yeah.
yes, you're a
Uh-huh.
Pisces, and that makes perfect sense. It makes
Yeah.
perfect sense, Sean.
Like
That's
even I don't
perfect.
want to sound too funny when I say it, when I speak certain things. It's like when I had him on the phone, I swear to you guys, I knew what was going on. But it's not my place to say certain things. Understand
Right.
what I'm saying? Yeah, I knew what was going on. And I
Mhm.
kind of I knew that one of these days when I came on here, that's what I was gonna hear, to tell you the truth. But I just know that he's like up there. If let's say if God had an army, like he's like one of them generals up there. So it's just good news to me. And I feel like if anything, this is the biggest sign we all need to see, about these upcoming times. And I
Yeah.
know that we're in good hands, if anything, not on a negative tip, Yeah.
No, I understand. Absolutely. I completely understand. I think we've all had our own experience with this loss, and we're going to continue to. Uh,
Yeah.
it's a good thing we're still going to be seeing each other because I think it's a transition for us.
We will be to be continued.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I do want to give Marita a chance to speak if she'd like to. She doesn't have to.
Before she jumps in, I'm just going to give a wink and a nod to my thoughts as to what I
Oh,
experienced with
Rick,
Rick.
I'm so sorry. Yes, of course you are.
Because there will be things that Marita says she might pull me into it, you know?
Yes.
Um, so, wow. The exercise of the meditation was so powerful for me. I was going through the process earlier, and it's been both faster and a bit hilarious as I've been using it as a tool to process bereavement so long, like years I've been using this process with other deaths. And I began to some time ago looking at my relationships with understanding some of it where um, when people are alive as much as possible, you know. But then we all know Rick had mad skills and intuition of which harmonics to look at. And it was the past several years when we stepped aside from other things. You know, we crossed paths intellectually here in Pittsburgh, and we came together for Kate's sake. Some people will hear me talk about that, where the metaphysical community came to do a fundraiser to help her out when she had a shortfall in her cancer treatment. And just a few years ago, I thought, doggone it, I should go ahead and reach out to Rick. Because we hadn't really enjoyed and partaken of what we could have. And I really felt it was important. And I really feel like there's a part of me that is such an intellectual brother of his because we had this start in our astrological journey. He started with the math and the procedures and the formulas, and I started with the immersion into the myth and the story. But that was like 76 and 77 I was getting started, and by 78 I was doing the math. And that's when Rick started with doing the math. So when we ended up, he took a look at some of my harmonics, and afterward it dawned on me from looking at what he was sharing, my takeaway was that, how about that? I guess I'm an information analyst and a communicator. And when I was sharing that the information, which was new to me, with a friend who had taken training as a life coach, he immediately said, well, Rick, I could have told you that. And my immediate response was, well, you didn't. I said, you know, he didn't realize that what he saw, very honestly, was something perhaps that I needed to have it recognized by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Rick and my friend Corey kind of worked together to gift me that with that, because without Rick, I wouldn't have seen that, to say it. And I always loved our private conversations where he would just look at me, shake his head, and say, "You're not like any Leo I have ever known." And so I think it may have been Thursday late night or Friday that Marita, the day or two after his passing, we were in conversation and communication. And my part of this is, I'll say, that's where I saw Rick. And I saw him in that space to let me know, oh, and my God, he was so much relaxed. I cannot remember him looking this relaxed ever in his life in my presence. It was so powerfully pure to see him in that space. And when I was when it happened, I was so aware that he is absolutely somebody that we hang out in that spiritual university in the astrology department, you know, and we continue to go ahead and look at people, but it was key to recognize that it was out of a joint love for people that we had, and understanding personality and helping people. That was what motivated us. We really wanted to see people experience their best lives and their best selves. And if Marita has anything that she wants to ask me and to poke my memory, I'll be available. Marita, I am so grateful for you stepping up here. And
oh, thanks.
She has been getting messages along the way throughout the evening. It has been a lovely connection with all of us bringing this energy forward. So go ahead, Marita, and share with us what you will.
Thank you. Okay. So, unlike all of you, I'm not an astrologer, but I'm enthusiastic to it all. My mom actually was an astrologer, but I could never learn from her. I probably learned more from Rick in a novice type of way. So I understand things about the astrology. And I know one day we were talking, you and I, and you said, you need to, when Rick's feeling better, we'll need to get together and talk about maybe he could teach you about the harmonics version of astrology, because you seem to understand that, and that might be helpful to you. But unfortunately, that did not happen. But it's interesting because I have felt his presence even up until he had passed. I knew who he was. I think I actually met him at several years ago at an event. So I recognized his pictures. So so obviously I know I've had met him at least once. But when Rick told me that things had turned suddenly, I seemed like I was getting a lot more conscious about where this was going and how quickly it was going. We had several conversations about this, you and I, Rick.
Yeah.
But it was January 15th, and it was a Wednesday afternoon. And I had gone to Butler, and earlier that week, Rick and I had talked about, because when I go up to my neurologist, I actually pass Rick's house. So when I come back, we usually do coffee or tea at the little cafe that's there. And he had told me, he said, I don't think I'm going to make it today. And I said, that's okay. And I was in the office because I had an appointment around something to 2. And by the time I got done, I got out of there about 2:30. And so I decided I was going to kill some time in one of the shops. And so that's what I went and did. And it was about 2:45 in the afternoon, roughly around that time. I was in a crystal shop up the street. And it just hit me right in the room that he had passed. And for some reason, I knew. I don't know if it was him, actually. I kind of figure it was him letting me know. And then I had seen it on Facebook on the way home. I think that's what it was. Or I got some kind of note somehow. Or was it you, Rick, that told me?
I think we discussed
I
it, and
saw
I confirmed
something.
it in our next
Okay.
phone conversation.
Yeah. And then when I talked to you the next day, the afternoon, that Thursday afternoon, we talked and you confirmed it again.
And the
And
shock for me had worn off
yeah,
enough that I could read.
yes.
That made
And
a huge difference.
yeah, because I said I had actually asked Rick about the time, and he confirmed the time for me. So when I got that message was around 2:45 in the afternoon, somewhere, give or take a few minutes. But when we were talking that afternoon, and he was talking about Rick, I just overwhelmingly got the tingles, as I call it. And like my right arm, it just felt like somebody put their hand on my shoulder, and the tingles just went all the way down, and my top of my head just starts. Um, and I went into telling Rick that what I was being shown was almost like a deck of tarot cards. And I kept getting the card, the magician, but I had called it the apprentice, actually. And Rick said, well, yeah, I would see him as the magician. I said, yes, but I keep hearing the word apprentice, because he's learning something new. Um, and the calmness that just came over, was incredible. And at that point, that's when Rick actually felt him through the phone. And he started to get the same thing. I mean, the energy was just so strong. And I told Rick, I said, he's here right now. And I said, the fact that I don't know him like everybody else does, I said, I'm getting all this information with him about him being uh, so free, and like the bonds of things were being removed from him. But he was in this type of um, apprentice type of feeling. He had completed a master that stepped into another level. And I kept saying to him, I keep getting the word elevation. Elevation kept coming to me. And I said, and then the next thing I got was I was shown, I don't know if some of you are familiar with Hermetics, but then it went into showing me the tree of life. But I got the angelic one because I work a lot with angels, and will channel them. I sketch them. I do automatic writing, but mine's more is the drawing as opposed to actually writing. And I said to him, I said, Rick, I'm seeing the tree of life, and it's almost like this elevation with him is like learning the different levels or heavens, however you want to describe it, is the feeling that I'm getting from Rick as a confirmation. This is his journey. This is his apprentice journey, that he's now going into a higher level of learning. The master had completed what he needed to do here, but was now being elevated into the next levels. And it was just like I felt him laughing. He was very happy. I did say to Rick that I felt too, the other word that I was getting was clarity. Like things were being confirmed. And actually, Rick, you too had said you had gotten that from him as well, that he had felt that way. The next thing we started talking about was the ancient Egyptians. And we went into that type of level where we started discussing, Rick had brought to my attention about the Sphinx, the Great Sphinx, and how the knowledge of that. There was other things below. It was a mystery of not of what we don't know exactly what its function was for. And I said, yes, but I'm also getting pulled to the Great Pyramids, the three pyramids, and how they were created for the energy as opposed to what everybody thought they were tombs. And I said, that's the type of, I keep seeing this around him, almost like there were different, I'm trying to think what the word I want to use now. Um, there were a lot of shiny things around there, but it was more like, um, I wouldn't say motors, but it was some kind of like you would see something being able to move, something highly advanced that was in there. And he was showing this.
I know that he used a portable frequency device to facilitate different healing for himself.
Okay. So that might have been also what he was showing me. Okay. So, and then I what I got with him too was, that was some of the stuff. It was more or less of a journey that he was moving through. He also said to me that he will be around for a while and popping in and out. But there's also a stage of him when if you do not feel him at a period of time, that's because he's actually learning and he's healing because of the illness and what it did to the soul part of the body. He has to go through that as well. So you'll feel him at first, then he's going to probably disappear a little bit. Then you will all be feeling him again. So it's part of what is going to be going on, and you will probably start to feel it. But it was funny because tonight, and by the way, thank you for all of you for letting me share in this tonight too. It makes me feel pretty special to be with a bunch of all of you tonight that had an opportunity to really know the man. I had, when we first started, I had gotten an image of him sitting at a desk. Did he have like a wooden style desk, squared type of desk? Does anybody know?
Well, in his later years, he actually used a wooden TV tray for his
okay
for his laptop to do the show from.
Okay. And what I get is like I see there's books stacked all around him and shelving. Was there shelving around him in his room that he did this or where he studied? Okay. Okay.
Although, like many scholarly individuals, he has lost more books than he had in his home.
We all do that. It's after a while I've learned not to do that anymore.
I mean, he also suffered flood damage at one time, as I did, and common themes it seems, huh?
Yeah. So I had, what I got was on the one side of the wall, I see 3 bookshelves. Okay. But it was funny because I see these, it's papers, it shows, but I figure it had to be charts. But there's books on there. There's a couple books that are wide open, and like he's sitting at the desk with a light that would be somewhat dim in the background, like a tall lamp behind him. Okay.
Yeah.
And he had that.
There was a lamp that I recall that is off of the back.
Okay. Yeah, it would be like off the back of him. Okay. So he puts here, I'm working at my desk with all the stacks of books around me. He laughs in a good way, not laughing at, but he laughs at the fact that he was so touched about how you all talk about him.
Oh.
And he said, I'm somewhat speechless my love for astrology worked as a language to channel the energy of what I was interpreting. So many things I am learning more about what I know, even more than I could even believe. My love of teaching was only a dent to what I can actually believe. I am able to know, understand, and be a part of. I was getting this while you guys were talking. And then he says, love and laugh. I am very humbled by all of you. I am so glad I lived through all of you. My pain is gone. I, I still, I'm still bouncing around, learning what to do. I feel like a new driver that shouldn't be behind the wheel. Ha ha ha. And he says, my pain on earth, I see it now as a way of now looking at this of what I needed to do and for the future. I see now in my new journey what I went through in life had prepared me for this new life. I still really I'm trying to read my writing because I was scribbling at this point. I still really don't know if I want to come back. I am kind of digging the ride at this time. So that's kind of what he gave me as the message. So I don't know if that sounds familiar to him, of him.
It does.
Those,
Yeah.
some of the words.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I was writing some of everybody's names down. Well, so I had like a little backstory on people. Like for Linda, she said she met him at a bachelorette party. And her comment was that she felt like he was going in and out. And I had texted her, he did. And I mentioned this to Rick as well. That day we talked about it as well. He was probably, especially a week and a half out, I would say, he was in and out. He was going between the veils. He was preparing, but he was also preparing with family and friends that had passed before him. So he was being made ready. Let's see. Marcia. That was the lady from Australia.
Jane is from
Oh, Jane was.
Australia.
Okay.
Marcia
right.
knew him for 55 years.
Okay, Jane.
Yeah, Jane was Australia.
Okay, she was the one that met him through work and events, and she felt he touched her soul.
No, that was Karen. No?
Right, maybe.
Definitely
okay.
not Jane. Jane is in Australia. She's never
Okay.
Yeah, she met him through Ksenia Moore.
Okay. Because his answer to that was feeling love. The feeling of love comes to him. You are my special angel. I enjoyed our talks and I have learned so much and so many things from you as well.
That was Karen.
That was the answer. Okay, Karen, I'll have to write that one down. All right.
Oh, I wish she would have been here to hear that.
No, we're going to load it up if we can, and I'm sure that it'll be able to be there for her.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Sean, you talked about you had no idea that he had passed, and about the last time you had talked. He come off this way to me was, hey buddy, I'm much better. I feel like I'm on top of the world. So much to do, and glad you came tonight. So
Oh,
he actually acknowledged that you were here. So that was his gift to you
oh,
for not knowing. Um, I'm getting all worked up.
that's incredible. Oh,
Yeah. Melody. Um, she felt that Rick believed in her. He saw her abilities. Um, she was learning it. She wasn't an astrologer, but she was learning the modalities and the he recognized the desires and the seeds that he helped put, you know, germinate in her.
yeah.
Um, his answer was about her teaching.
Hmm.
Um, understand that the parents who teach or how the parents teaching the astrology have them learn it like the language that it should be.
Hmm.
Um, the feeling I got off of that is more of a song, if that means anything.
Oh, I see.
Does that mean anything to you,
No,
Claudia?
but it might to Melody. And I could see
Okay. Was she
her.
into music or anything like that?
I don't,
Her
I
name
don't know
literally
that she
means
was.
music, so there's that.
Well, as an educator, as a homeschooler,
Yeah.
I suspect she most likely is innovative and using music
Definitely.
would not be
So
strange in the
Definitely.
least.
Okay.
she will get some meaning out of that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
And
figuring. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it'll strike her in some profound way. I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
of that.
Dr. John, he laughed when you said about uh, your voice. Okay.
Aw.
It was the voice.
Okay.
And he confirms with you is yes, your voice was your strength. It was also your gift. And he wants you to know that that gift that you have meant much to him, especially during the transition.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Let's see, who else do I have? Claudia.
Thank you. Thank you. Bless you.
You talked about handing out him handing out diplomas and things like that.
Yeah.
He says he's turning the torch to you when it comes to that. Um, and I think the was Christine talked about the near death experiences, and again, she was not an astrologer, but was more the psychic, which is where I kind of come in through that too, because I too have had a near death experience, and that's where a lot of my stuff kind of have has come through all this. Um, the near death experience and the mediumship, the feeling I got with her was that she needs to be more focused about the messages that she gets for herself.
Oh, okay. I'll
It's
make sure.
trickier to read for yourself.
Right. Yeah, it is hard because you more or less,
Some people at least have
yeah.
difficulties. It comes with timing and time and training.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see what else I have here.
I'll make sure she sees this. That's really great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Chris. Oh, okay. Chris,
Chris
lady
Poco.
that was on.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, she talked about him being blunt and straightforward about how he did his readings and everything.
Was that the first Christine that showed up?
No,
No,
that was
Christine was the
Chris.
other. Chris is
Okay.
right here. She's Christine.
Right.
Yeah.
She talked about that he told her that she came here to help, and she didn't she didn't come with karma. The answer there was lessons. You were here to learn and experience the lessons which allowed you to be able to heal and help. And that's what I got with that. And
I do know in esoteric astrology there is absolutely one teaching that shares that a certain manifestation in a chart is a sowing chart and the other is a reaping chart. So you are sometimes coming into this life not to be working out your karma, but you're dealing with your dharma, where you would be laying groundwork for future good things and helping and healing.
Yeah.
So that would make sense for Chris Poco.
And for Stephen, when he talked about looking at the chart again and trying to find out, it does not show on the chart. Like I do know that much about astrology because I remember my mom used to be able to pinpoint when people had died. On his chart, it does not show that he died when he did, because it was already happening. You may have to go back about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, to see if it pinpoints in that time period. And Rick, that might be something you might want to look at too. Go back and look 2 weeks earlier. You may find something that sticks there that may be more of an announcement to that, because the fact that he was spending more time on the other side, back and forth, and his actual passing the way he did, he was pretty much there. It was just for a brief period he was back. And and that's how he passed. That's what he showed me.
Yeah.
And that's what I got from everybody while he was talking to me, while you were all talking and I was writing.
I know that many of us have videos that we have in our possession of readings or meetings with Rick, and I am sure there will be many opportunities for us to plumb those and look for nuggets of gold that we are just going to dive into, because we do have his words. We have shows that were recorded that we went into that we can look at, where we were present when the words were first being spoken. And I see places that my work is going to be moving forward in astrology that I find a lot of support because of things that Rick understood about me.
Yeah.
You know,
he definitely,
he had keen insight.
He did, yeah. And it's funny because to me it was like, I feel blessed, that, and I got chills now. I feel blessed that, he gave me the opportunity to share this with you all. And thank you, Rick, also for letting me inviting me tonight too. So I hope that I was able to shed some light on some of the things, or acknowledge or confirm things for all of you tonight. And I would love to join the group if possible.
You should. You're right up our alley.
You'll have a lot easier time
I
learning.
just invited myself.
We certainly want you.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. We cannot thank you enough for being here tonight.
Thank you.
If,
you.
if I can jump in real fast here, this is particularly directed at you, Rick C. and Claudia. What a blessing it is that Rick, you like, it just seems like there's this coalition of energy that took place. And, I think Rick just, this is what Rick draws in.
Right.
Of course, though, but like, I'm looking at you two in particular that, there's these two very beautiful Leo people, which you both are carrying on the torch of, basically leading Rick's community here that he put together, the friendship, the spirituality, and all these pieces. So I really want to say big kudos to you, big love to you both. I mean, you have, I'm going to be here, of course, and I hope everybody else will continue to be too. And, community's going to continue to grow and all that. But just, I really, really, really want to acknowledge you both for stepping in. And I'm sure, without a doubt, that gives Rick D some peace, knowing that this work is in good hands, that he started and that he really wanted to see it continue on. And I know there's a lot of uncertainty. He'd reinvent it. He'd look at the charts. He'd say, okay, well, because this group kind of broke down a few times. Then he reconstituted. He'd take a couple weeks off. But now it seems like it's hit something new, though. And I think you two are really you two are the leaders. You're the anchors. You're the hub. You're the ones that are basically going to carry the torch forward. So really acknowledge your leadership, your heart, and the beautiful people you are. And, that it's just all perfect how everything has just come together.
It is.
And we'll all continue on.
It is.
I have to step in here and also say that this group probably does not realize the power you held to uplift Rick. There was so much time in the last year that he desperately wanted to be present, and he would sometimes realize as early as Monday, and he would say, I need you guys to go ahead and step in. And we had things on the back burner ready, and we might tweak, but we were rolling. And I always wanted him to keep handy, though, because he gained so much power and strength from the energy and the love that he felt from you guys. You were his soul strength in this world as a tribe that made his recovery from his first round and his transition everything that it could be. As far as humanity stepping forward, this group was on the front line to be there for Rick. For every way that he was there for years, looking out for people with his reading, his kindness, his encouragement, his insight into souls. You guys were so important to him. And there is nothing that can ever shake my mind from being aware of that. And Claudia and I would sometimes just go ahead and do a bang-up job when he wasn't able to be there, and he was watching or listening. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but he got online one of those nights that I can remember, and he just was all fired up. You'd swear he got off of some sort of rejuvenation program, and he got on the screen, and he was just super excited to engage. And it was the interplay between us all that, we may have razzed things up, ratcheted it up, but it was the love that came out of you guys that made it everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
All.
I remember one of the episodes where Rick and I walked in, and then I talked to him after uh, that evening, and I told him that everybody was, they love you and they're asking about you, and he just started crying and crying. And I knew that it was this group was, some of you have been here since the beginning, and he's built this up, and he has not, I mean, goes without saying, but it takes a lot of energy to do this on a weekly basis. And he put his heart into it. I know he did. I know he did. That's why I'm so extremely, there came a point a few years ago where I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I started freaking out. I was like, I can't do this. I don't know what am I gonna, I can't do that. I'm not, and I just let it go. Just because he taught me, let it go. You think you're in control of anything? You're not at all. You think we all
Right.
know what the hell is going to happen? We don't. Let it go. And he prepared me the best he could. Rick Kempe came to us at the perfect time, and he's been my partner, and it's just incredible to watch what he's done to build this community and to build not a community of just astrology, but of just people loving and supporting one another. That is, you know, he went at a time that he knows that we need it. We need that kind of stewardship over to look after us. Because he's that kind of leader. He is such a leader. So I do want to show you one last thing, and then I'll close because I did find it, and I'd like to show you. Um, oh, it's not showing up.
Do it a second time.
Yes. Okay, sorry.
That is oftentimes.
Oh, I don't believe it. It went away. Wait a minute.
You want to take a third try?
I can't minimize it. I'm going to put it on Facebook because I actually think it's going to look
Good.
better on Facebook because of the resolution is not coming up as nicely. It's a beautiful picture of him, and I will be we'll be sharing more details this week. I plan on doing Astrology Unplugged page on Facebook. Still go to the website and still get the link there. That may not be forever, but for now, that's where just do as you normally do. I cannot thank you enough for such a beautiful evening. I cannot wait to share this with Liza and share this with the world because I know other people in his circle, his friends, and his family would love to see this. You are an integral part of what he did in the world, and that's huge. That's just huge. Thank you for being here, and I love you all, and I'm coming back.
One thing I want to say, okay?
Yes.
He was the focal point in the center. He's what connected all of us.
Right.
Now we have a new responsibility. We have to build relationships with each other. We can't just be faces on the screen.
Right.
Or, I think that might not be coming from me as I'm saying that, but
Probably not, Linda. Probably not.
in the way that we all could talk individually, specifically about relationships and moments we had with him outside of here. I think we have to, if we're in Australia, that's not going to be necessarily as possible, but I think we can work on that. We can find ways to have, like Claudia and Rick have had a connection. I think we have to try,
Absolutely.
because that's what's going to make the bond.
Yes.
That's what's going to make the bond. It's going to be a new kind of network, but it'll be important to do that.
Yes, and I'll be honest, Linda, I think that's part of my vision. I know Rick Kempe's vision as well.
Yeah.
Is that to continue the community aspect and the connection that we have. And Rick was an extraordinary astrologer. I can't be him, neither can Rick. We can be ourselves, and that's all we can do. But we're still going to be learning, and we're still going to be together, and we're still going to be, delving into topics that interest all of you. Astrology being the main topic, but there's other things as well. But that doesn't mean that that's where it ends. It's probably just where it begins as far as us being connected to each other. My plan is to really, you know what? I have a really good friend of mine. He goes, and Rick would tell me this too. Oh my God. He'd say, dream so freaking big. Just be so big and dream big and do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't analyze about it. Don't worry about it. Just do it. And he was admirable in that way. He really did just do the stuff without letting fear drive him. But faith was the thing that drove him. Belief and faith. That's an example to me. Uh, because we get caught up in this fear-based caution. What will I do? What will they say? Uh-uh. It's if there's any time to really live our lives, it's now. Right? This is not a
Absolutely.
Rick Kempe, thank you for doing this with me. Thank you everybody for tonight. And we'll meet back up. We'll be back up next week. All right.
Great to be here.
Thank you much.
You guys. Bless you.
Congratulations, you did it.
Love you.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
Love you too, Rick.
We so needed this.
Love you,
Yes.
Liza.
Yes,
Yes.
our hearts are with you.
Absolutely,
See you
Rick and
next
Liza.
week.
Yes. See you next week, guys.